Hello there, freakazoids! Yep, doing an old one tonight. The Lover's Lane case of Patricia Ann Mann and Jesse Allen McBane. An unsolved case. It's crazy that it's not solved. It seems like, anyways. Okay, now before we do that though, there is an update on another case that we followed on here really quick. It's the Sasha Kraus case, the Mennonite, aka Amish woman that went missing. Remember, she was, her vehicle's found here. She lived probably in this home here. Yeah, it's just right in this area she went missing. In New Mexico. And the update is that missing 27-year-old Farmington woman found dead, family says. Sasha Kraus, 27, was last seen picking up items from the Farmington Mennonite Church on January 18th. Investigators said her car was found parked outside the church. Sheriffs from Coconino County out of Arizona told San Juan County investigators that the body of a female that matches Kraus's description was found within county limits. An autopsy for the female subject is scheduled for Monday to confirm her identity. Sasha's family released the following statement. "We don't have any more details yet, but we are truly thankful for everyone that prayed, hung flyers, and volunteered in searches. We are also profoundly thankful for everything law enforcement did in searching for and finding our dear Sasha. They never gave up, and we so appreciate that." Let's see where that is. Is it anywhere near here? Yeah, so it's just... Hold on. Yeah, normally you have counties in there when you... But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that close. Just a second, let me get a measurement, just a general number. Well, I mean, it's 200, to get into that county, almost 200 miles away there. So that's where she was found. That's pretty crazy, huh? So somebody probably abducted her and killed her. But fortunately for the family, she was found. Unfortunately, she wasn't alive, but at least they don't have to wonder about her forever, you know. But I guess now it's trying to figure out what happened to her. Crazy times out there. All right, now let's get on to the case here. Hold on. My stream bot thing isn't working. The chat bot that I have, it doesn't work anymore. I don't know what the deal is. It's not connecting. I don't know what that's related to or why it wouldn't be, but it's just not working. All right, here we go. I'm just going to go through all the articles up until there's more recent ones from like 2018, but this will sort of bring you back in time. So basically, Patricia and Jesse are a couple, and they were just at a a Valentine's Day party at the hospital that Patricia worked at, and that's kind of where this all starts. They went missing. Okay, so these first couple articles are when they're missing. You guys ready to go? All right, cool. So search launched for missing pair in Durham area. A search party was mounted again today for a young couple missing since they left Valentine's party at Watts Hospital Friday night. Okay, so we'll go to Watts Hospital. So this used to be Watts Hospital right here, but it's now the North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics. Okay, so you know, you could tell that does look like a hospital if you look at it, and there's dorm rooms in there and people stayed in there. So that's where the dance was, in that facility right there. Let's see what it looks like from the ground. It was a hospital, but it's not anymore. Yep, that's exactly what it looked like. And it was, this thing was built back in 1800s. Yeah, so that's what the party was. Police Lieutenant R.G. Morris said a hunt for more than 50 officers, by more than 50 officers and cadets, Tuesday failed to turn up any trace of the couple. And they went missing on February 12th. This is February 17th. Miss Mann is a student nurse at Watts Hospital. McBane is a student at North Carolina State. Police said McBane's car was found Saturday evening in the Crossdale Golf Course at Durham. The car was locked and the couple's coats were inside the vehicle. So the door was locked and the couple's coats were inside the vehicle. All right, so that was the first article on the searching. Then, let's see, that was on the 17th. And on the 18th, reward set in missing pairs case. The families of the young couple with area ties who had been missing 9 days have posted a $500 reward for information concerning the students' whereabouts. The reward has been offered by Mr. and Mrs. A.N. McBane and the L.E. Whitney community. Route 1 Hills, Pittsboro, and Miss Gletcher Mann of Sanford, parents of Jesse Allen McBane. Yeah, so these are all the people that are listing here. Durham police report there are no new developments in the disappearance, which has baffled authorities. Mr. McBane's locked car, which contained their coats, was discovered abandoned February 13th in a sparsely populated area of the Crossdale section of Durham. Let's see. Miss Mann is described as having blonde hair and blue eyes, weighing 105 pounds and standing 5 feet 2 inches. Mr. McBane is 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighs about 150 pounds, and has brown hair and eyes. Burlington police received a call late Friday afternoon from a local woman who said she'd seen a young couple fitting the description of the missing pair. She reported that couple entered woods off the Edith Street behind Memorial Hospital of Alamance carrying a suitcase. Authorities found no trace of the couple. And that story right there was a red herring. Yeah, this is 1971, February 12th. The local report is one of many that have been phoned into the police departments across North Carolina in South Carolina. None of the tips have provided leads to the couple's whereabouts. So this is the following day. This is what they look like right here. These photos of a missing young couple with Alamance County ties are being circulated in an effort to uncover new leads in the disappearance that has Durham and state authorities baffled. Miss Patricia Ann Mann, 20, of Sanford, and Jesse Alan McBane, 20, of Route 1, Pittsburgh, were last seen leaving a party last Friday night at Watts Hospital School of Nursing. The search for Miss Mann, a student nurse, and Mr. McBane, a freshman at North Carolina State University, was intensified when police found the car driven by the young man near the Crossdale Golf Course. So it wasn't at the golf course, it was just near there. And that's actually, the golf course is in that Crossdale, I don't know how you actually pronounce that, C-R-O-A-S. I don't think they spelled it right even here, to be honest with you. Durham police continue to check out reports that a couple resembling the missing pair have been seen in various areas, although no real leads have as yet been uncovered. Authorities hope today to investigate a report from Fayetteville that a couple answering their description purchased wedding bands there last Saturday. So all this stuff was just complete crap that they're reading. You know, these people, oh yeah, wait, yeah. You know, it's funny, the internet just made all that stuff worse, though. So imagine back then, 1971, there's these crazy rumors, oh, wedding bands, this and that and the other thing. And there wasn't even internet. I mean, if you have the internet, there's 1,000 of those things. Rumors by ill-willed people. See, I don't really buy it that everyone goes, well, their heart was in the right place. Nah, no. You're trying to spread shit because you think you're really interesting, okay? All right, bodies found. See, this is the thing. This is, now we're looking at 7 days later. The bodies found tied to a tree. I mean, look how crazy this starts getting. North Carolina, the bodies of a young man and woman were found Thursday tied to a tree and partially covered with leaves in a heavily wooded area. Orange County Sheriff C.D. Buck Knight identified the man as Jesse Allen McBane, 19, a North Carolina State University student from Pittsburgh, missing along with a girl companion since the night of February 12th. The girl was not positively identified immediately, but fit the general description of blonde Patricia Ann Mann, 20, a nursing student who vanished along with McBane. Knight said the fully clothed bodies were found by a surveyor working in the area. The two had short pieces of rope knotted around their necks. Their bodies were slumped back to back, it says, on either side of an oak tree. So, like, maybe their heads are almost against the tree and their bodies are out. And their wrists were tied together with rope around the tree. Knight said there was no visible cause of death, and the bodies were taken to North Carolina Memorial Hospital in Chapel Hill for autopsies. The couple's mysterious disappearance touched off an extensive search base near general area where the bodies were found. Authorities had suspected foul play almost from the first. Knight said he did not suspect robbery. His wallet had some money in it, and there were watches and rings. And said the sheriff, McBane and Miss Mann, a Stanford native, who was studying nursing at Watts Hospital in Durham, attended a party the night of February 12th and disappeared. The car in which they were riding was found the following night on a paved road at the Crossdale Golf Course. Yeah, this is like really... I think I can zoom in on it. Let's see if it works. Two found dead tied to a tree. The bodies of a young man and woman were found Thursday tied to a tree and partially covered with leaves in a heavily wooded area near the Orange-Durham County line. And I think I found really close to where this was. Orange County Sheriff C.D. Buck Knight identified the man as Jesse Allen McBane, 19, a North Carolina State University student from Pittsburgh, missing along with a girl companion since the night of February 12th. The girl was not positively identified immediately, but fit the general description of blonde Patricia Ann Mann, 20, a nursing student who vanished along with McBane. Knight said the fully clothed bodies were found by a surveyor working in the area. The two had short pieces of rope knotted around their necks. Their bodies were slumped back to back on either side of an oak tree, and their wrists were tied together with a rope around the tree. Knight said there was no visible cause of death. The bodies were taken to North Carolina Memorial Hospital in Chapel Hill for the autopsy. The couple's mysterious disappearance touched off an extensive search based near the general area where the bodies were found. Authorities had suspected foul play almost from the first. Knight said he did not suspect robbery. His wallet had some money in it, and there were watches and rings, said the sheriff. McBane and Miss Mann, a Sanford native who studying nursing in Watts Hospital in Durham, attended a party the night of February 12th. The site was a heavily wooded area about 300 yards off a dead-end dirt road. See, I think this is how I determined where this was. So let me get out of here. Alright, so this is that neighborhood that I was talking about. Let me see what it's called. Crossdale. This area right here. This is Crossdale. I surrounded it with the blue pin. So this is, the car was parked by the golf course on a paved road. I don't know where exactly the car was found. Okay, the party was right here. Now apparently people used to go over, couples, and they would at the time, well, we'll read that later, but at the time this whole area had no homes in it, really. There was just cul-de-sacs that were made out of dirt at the time, getting ready for homes, and couples would pull into the cul-de-sacs, and each cul-de-sac would be a different couple. Like if there was already a couple there, you go to the next one. You know what I mean? The lover's lane type stuff. Okay, so the site was a heavily wooded area about 300 yards off a dead-end dirt road that connects with Sparta Road. And that was the wrong name of the road right there. So that threw me off for a while. It's actually, this is the road that they were referring to right here. Where the hell did that go? Sparger Springs Lane right here. So it's Sparger's Road, but anyways, this is the county line, and it was actually found in this county over here. And if you look at this road, it matches perfectly what they were saying. It's a long road, a single lane road, and then there's a cul-de-sac at the end. So let me read this again. So 300 yards off a dead-end dirt road that connects with Sparta Road in Orange County near Durham line. So near the it's in the near the Durham line. Let me just see if the line, I wonder if I could, yeah. Okay. A trailer court was located near the scene, but the area in which the bodies were found were heavily wooded. There's actually a better description in a later article, but that one had some of the same elements in it. Knight said the bodies were discovered by a surveyor who drove by the area and spotted a man's leg. He stopped and walked to the spot and found both bodies. Searchers had dredged ponds in the area of the Crossdale Country Club and the exclusive Crossdale. I think they're spelling it wrong. I mean, it's actually on Google is C-R-O. Well, let's just go with what they have. Residential section located north of Durham. The bodies were only a few miles away from the spot where McBane's car was found. Okay. And pretty soon there's an article that pretty much breaks down the whole thing. So this is the 27th. Durham couple was strangled. So now we've got autopsy results. A medical examiner said Friday a college student and his girlfriend, whose body were found in a Lover's Lane area, had been tied to a tree and strangled with ropes. Dr. Abdullah Fatah said the girl, Patricia Ann Mann of Sanford, had suffered a laceration on the liver. Another article says kidney, apparently from a sharp blow to the stomach. But Fada said Miss Mann, a 20-year-old nursing student, had received no external wounds on the abdomen and had shown no sign of having been sexually molested. Miss Mann and her 20-year-old boyfriend, Jesse Allen McBane of Pittsburgh, disappeared on the night of February 12th after attending a Valentine's party at Watts Hospital. Their disappearance remained a mystery for two weeks until Thursday, when Orange County Sheriff C.D. Knight said his office got a call from an unidentified surveyor saying the bodies had been discovered in a remote area near the Orange and Durham County lines near Durham. The bodies were found fully clothed, Knight said. They were tied to a tree, but they were lying on the ground. Leaves had been kicked over the bodies, and there was only one limb sticking out. You could just see one of the feet. Fada said evidence indicated the couple had been killed at about the same time, early in the morning of February 13th. He said indications were they were strangled by a killer pulling on ropes around their necks, while the victims were tied to the tree at the waist. So they're tied to the tree at their waist, and then were they pulled? Yeah, so it's weird. They're almost like, I think when they were saying slumped over, I think they mean like straight down forward. And then the person pulled on the rope. I don't know. The North Carolina Memorial Hospital examiner, who performed both autopsies and inspected the death scenes personally, offered a theory that two persons had been involved in the killings. He said he based his theory on the size of McBane, a student at North Carolina State University, and the other victim's posture when they were found. Both bodies remained attached to the tree, he said, but both had been forced to the ground. Fada said the force of the strangling ropes apparently had tugged them backward to the ground. So that makes it seem different. Like, they're tied to the tree by the waist, but then pulled backwards to the ground. So it seems like they must be on either side of the tree then, or something. McBane's car was found near a Durham golf course the day after the Valentine's party. The couple's coat and a box of candy remained in the car. So he had purchased a box of candy for her and gave it to her when he picked her up to go to the dance, and all of that stuff was still in the vehicle. The McBane and Mann family had offered a $500 reward. So that was on the 27th of February. This is on March 1st. Tragedy in violent death. It is tragic always when life is lost through violence and the destructive nature of someone else. When life is young, there also is the added sadness involved. Therefore, this entire area was shocked in the learning that the missing couple, Patricia Mann, 20-year-old student, nurse, and Jesse Allen McBane, 19-year-old State University student, are dead because of the violence of someone else. It apparently was to be a big night for them as they attended a Valentine's dance at Watts Hospital in Durham, but then someone got to them. They were strapped to a tree and were murdered. Their bodies were found 2 weeks later. Whoever was responsible still is at large. In the meantime, families and friends mourn what happened. The question also rises on why it happened. But there is no question on the need for priority attention to the case in finding the one or more persons responsible. Anyone who can be so vicious on one night can repeat his acts on another. So that was March 1st, 1971, and then on October 30th, 7 months later, there was a pretty extensive write-up that goes through the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah, but it was a nightmare. I think they were planning on getting married too. So here is an October. Is that the one? Oh wait, no, I actually have a link to it. It was April 7th. It was so big that I just got the link instead. This one goes through really detailed on what happened. Frustration, dead end leads haunt probe of McBane and Mann murder case. Alright, frustration and dead end leads to continue to haunt law enforcement. God, it's so small to my face, I can't see it. Let's see. Investigating the murders of Jesse Allen McBane and Patricia Ann Mann. Hundreds of leads have been followed to dead ends in the almost 2 months old murders. The couple was found February 25th, tied to a tree, strangled to death on a deserted dirt road near the Orange County-Durham County line. Since that time, law enforcement officers from the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the Durham City Police Department, and the State Bureau of Investigation have investigated hundreds of leads and interviewed countless people. With the widening time gap and the frustration of false leads, hello everybody, the law enforcement agencies have agreed no more information will be released to the public concerning the investigation. So you kind of wonder when you ask yourself, gosh, how come they don't release more? Well, there you go. No comment is the only thing Sheriff C.D. Buck Knight will say. He heads the Orange County Sheriff's Department, which is in charge of the investigation since bodies were found in the jurisdiction. We've eliminated some things, but we are still, let's see, I can't make that word out. We are still, doesn't look like working. Who cares? We have two men working full-time on the thing. I just can't say whether we are any closer now, Sheriff Knight said in his slow Orange County speech. Durham Detective Captain E.G. Atkins also said no comment. He said that he feels that if no one says anything about the investigation, the murders are bound to foul up. He said the Durham officers, I must have said murderers. Yeah, the murderers are bound to foul up. He said the Durham office has received a number of calls, but he just cannot say how many. When asked about a reported wiretap on the Mann home telephone, Captain Atkins says, "You know that is illegal. We can't put a wiretap on anyone's phone, even if they ask us to. And there's no information from the SBI, just another no comment and the promise to release information as soon as anything breaks. What is available is rumors are in abundance. The facts released right after the bodies were found and the grieved family of the two young people. Mr. McBane's family, although located approximately a mile into Chatham County, actually considered themselves residents of the Ellie Whitney community. They have many relatives in the Burlington, I can't even read that, it's blurry to me. Alamance County area. Okay, so let's just go down to this part right here. This is when it all started right here. This has much more detailed information. What do you mean don't play whack? What does that mean? I'm confused now. I got interrupted. Gray don't play whack. Oh, Gray don't play whack. Yeah, you just delete people. There's no, as soon as somebody makes a derogatory comment, you just remove them, right? I couldn't tell what the hell you were saying. Okay, so here it is. The drama started on the night of February 12th. The scene was a Valentine's dance at Witchy Hall Recreation Center in the dorm of Watts Hospital, where Miss Mann lived. She was a junior in the School of Nursing there. The night was warm. Miss Mann was wearing a pink and white check dress when Mr. McBane came to pick her up. He had a box of Valentine's candy for her, wearing plaid slacks and a burgundy shirt. Mr. McBane had driven from Raleigh. He was a freshman at North Carolina State University. I've heard other people say he drove from his parents' house, but so this is Raleigh, North Carolina, and would have driven up to where she lives, picked her up. Well, she was actually staying at this hospital in one of the dorms there. Picked her up and then went to the dance in the same facility there. So that's where the dance was. Now, their car was found here, and their bodies were found right over here in this area. But this area is where you would go. See, it is confusing because this is what is explained. I'll read through it, but it's explaining that at the time, there's another article later that explains that at the time, this was just dirt out here. The golf course was here, but there weren't a lot of homes or anything. There were cul-de-sacs that were just dirt, and couples would go out there. Friends later said both were quite happy and that Mr. McBane recently had talked to his sister, who lived in Durham, about his and Miss Mann's prospects for marriage. They had planned to marry after she graduated from nursing school next year. Also, Mr. McBane had anticipated his 20th birthday, which he would celebrate in a few days. Miss Mann already was 20. Friends at the dance said the party was still going on when Miss Mann and Mr. Bain left at about 11:30. They weren't due back until 1 o'clock when the dorm closed. The usual closing hour is midnight, but in view of the special occasion, the hour had been extended. The friends at the dance were the last known people to see them alive. From that moment on, in their soon-to-be ended lives, nothing is certain. Friends in Miss Mann's dorm became concerned when she did not come in at curfew hour. That would have been 1 o'clock. That was out of character for a responsible young woman. After several hours, the authorities were notified. The next morning, Saturday, police received a routine report of an abandoned car. The car, an English Ford, was found locked near a golf course in the Crossdale area of Durham. The report turned out to be not so routine when it was determined that the car belonged to Jesse Allen McBane, now reported as a missing person. They're just kind of going back in time, but obviously when this was written, they had been found. Inside the car were the coat and jacket belonging to the young couple and the box of Valentine candy. A later investigation of the car was to uncover the rather mysterious fact that all fingerprints had been wiped from the car inside and outside. I actually think that this couple, this is my opinion, were abducted from the where they were making out, whatever, on Lover's Lane, in that community crosshair. They were abducted, killed, then the killer drove the car back there, wiped it all down, left everything in the car, and left. That's my opinion. I mean, it'd be weird to, okay, hey, well, you abduct them, put them in your vehicle, then go in there really quick, clean it all. Why would you wipe down all the fingerprints? Unless you were in the car for a while. Yeah, I was actually thinking it does sound like the Zodiac Killer. It had a similar vibe to it. Very similar. I did think that exact same thing. So all the fingerprints were wiped from the car, inside and outside. There were no signs of foul play around the car, and everything about it indicated the young couple had left it on their own accord, since it also was locked. Well, I don't know how you come to that conclusion. I mean, maybe at first glance you thought that, but now that you see that all the fingerprints were wiped down, you must believe that that's not the case. At first, concern for the young couple was not too great. Friends and officials rather suspected they had eloped. And there's where you come up with the, oh, there was a suitcase. People just invented stuff. Oh, they were seen buying a ring. You know, although this idea did not exactly fit in with both of their practical, responsible natures. Also, the families refused to believe this line of reasoning. Sunday night, with no word from the couple, Durham Police Detective T.M. Bowers provided missing persons data, data to area media. At that point, he indicated there might be possible foul play. Lakes in the Crossdale area were dredged. Rewards were offered for information leading to the discovery of the couple. Searches were made. Friends were questioned. Nothing. Absolute silence. They apparently had just disappeared. The weather was unreasonably warm for February. Must have been global warming. Spring-like rains occurred several days. As time passed, hope for their safety faded. Then, on the warm afternoon of February 25th, a Thursday, the search ended. A surveyor who had been working in the vicinity. Okay, now here's before they said Sparta Road. Okay, and see that's where I was like, well, there I couldn't even find a Sparta Road. But now we've got a little bit better description. It says a surveyor who had been working in the vicinity of Sparger Road, not Sparta, near Highway 70 and I-85. Alright, so now when you type in Sparger Road, well, there you go. It's right there. That's what this road is, right there. Okay. And then we're going to read more of the description here. And at that point, he saw what he thought to be human foot sticking out of a pile of leaves. He was in a heavily wooded area on a one-lane dirt road that dead-ended in a turnaround circle. About 300 yards away was a trailer park. Now look at this. Watch this. Oh, look at this. There's a circle at the end here. A very narrow road, and watch, you can actually go to Street View here. I really think this is it. I do. So you have this really narrow road. And I think at the time it was just a one-lane road. But as you drive down this, guess what it is? A trailer park. Thanks, Shogun Love. I was wondering if people actually liked this type of show. I was like, whoa, man. I'm going to have to just do the current events. Yeah, so when you drive down through here, you'll see trailer parks. Look at this. And they've been there since at least 1993, where I can go back on the satellite dish. But look how narrow that is. Don't you think that's the one-way street that they're talking about? And it's right next to the county line. Here's more trailer park. And then at the end, you do like a loop. Yeah.
Ray don't play hard.
That's right. And then at the very end, it loops around in the cul-de-sac. But I would bet money that that's it. And not only that, they said it's right next to, so in the Sparger Road area, near the county line, which is this green line right there, and near this highway, both these two highways. So that's right along there. You've got the loop at the end, and this is all trailers park, and that's it. That's the only place around that had trailers there. Now, if you go back to 1993, see that? These are all trailers still sitting there. That's in February 1993. So 22 years prior to that, I guess. And interestingly, if you go over in this area, there are houses, but even some of these areas aren't quite as filled in as it is now. See, there's no homes right there. And I think I could almost go up if I went to 1983. I don't know if I could do that, but. Alright, so I think that right around in this area, just I can't be specific, but just right around in this area is where they were located, which is really nowhere near where their car was found over here. Hey, thanks, Kyron. Appreciate it. Cairo's going to be back out on the road here pretty soon.
Love the old cases.
Okay. He was in a heavily wooded area on a one-lane dirt road that deadened in a turnaround circle. About this. Oh, whoa! Woo! Man, you guys are.
We love
You guys
your
are so
shows,
kind.
Gray.
Here,
And your mapping skills are awesome.
Time for the.
Love you and the Freak family.
Hey, we have enough members now where I can make a new emoji. I think I'm going to get rid of the sheriff badge one. We don't really use that too often. Which ones do you think I should get rid of and then make new ones? Thank you, Stacy Galloway and Nona617.
Thanks, Gray.
Yeah, so I think the sheriff badge. Does anybody really use the Jack Nicholson one? Okay, but here, hey, Miss Skis or whatever. Hey, type in phonetically how you say your name, okay? Just phonetically type it in. Yeah, you never use the troll. Some people do use that one, though.
Glad to be part of the Freak family. You guys are all the best. Loves, Gray. Growing heart, hugging face.
Okay, so you guys don't want the conspiracy theory guy. I don't know. That one's. I don't know. I need MSSK whatever to. Is it Mrs. Kiss? Is that right? Is it Mrs. Kiss? Just phonetically type it in, man. I gotta know. Yeah, but we need that one just to be able to put in. Oh, it's Miss Kiss. Oh, Miss Skiss is what you're saying. Hey, thank you, yo mama. No skis, no s's kiss. What? What does that mean? No kiss. Miss Skiss. There we go. No. Wait, I mean, Miss Skiss.
It's
there you
tough
go.
to follow
Okay, I got it.
Hypnocat.
Oh, I got it now.
Love
Miss
these
Skiss.
cases too, not just current.
I don't know why that was so hard. Miss Skiss. There you go. No, it's Miss Skiss. Okay, there we go. All right. Wow, that took me forever because that weird second, the capital I threw me off there. I wasn't sure if that was like skills or something like that, or. Wow, I can do all this other crap with the maps and shit, but I can't figure out how. Okay. Anyways, let me get back to this. So where the surveyor found the bodies, it was a heavily wooded area on a one-lane dirt road that deadened in a turnaround circle. See, the dirt road deadened in a turnaround circle, and that is exactly what you see right here. That's where it dead ended, okay? And that's the word. It wasn't deadened, it was dead ended. Okay. The frightened surveyor started off to the residential area to call for help. Not quite sure of what he saw and not wanting to believe it, he turned back to be sure. On a second look, he was sure. It was a human leg and a foot. A pile of leaves covered the rest of the body. He turned and went to a residence on Hillsborough Road to call for help. The call was made to Sheriff Knight in Hillsborough. The time was about 1:45 p.m., I would imagine. If it was 1:45 a.m., I think the guy would have probably died from fear. The warm sun made the day seem like spring. The mounting tragedy soon would cool any warm feeling about the day. Hey, that was pretty good writing. In a very short time, the deserted dirt road was alive with activity. The quiet of the wooded area was shattered as law enforcement officers, curiosity seekers, and reporters came into the area. No attempt to block off the area was made. The State Bureau of Investigation had several men on the scene. A number of Orange County deputies, Sheriff Knight, 2 officers from the Sanford Police Department, several members of the Durham City Police Department, and several highway patrolmen were all there to view the horror and begin the long, almost hopeless chore of investigation. What the people gathered on the dirt road saw, so there was people who went there as onlookers, were 2 bodies tied to an oak tree about 10 inches in diameter. So I was picturing this big, thick oak tree, but a 10-inch oak tree, that's kind of little. One body was that of a young blonde girl dressed in a pink checkered dress. The other was a young man dressed in a burgundy shirt and plaid slacks. Leaves had covered the bodies, which were sitting leaned against the tree. So let's see. Leaves had covered the bodies, which were sitting leaned against the tree. See, that sounds different than the other description. They were back to back. So first I was picturing them sitting next to the tree, each of them. And then they're just back to back, tied around. You see that all the time in shows or whatever, when people tie 2 different people to the same telephone pole or tree or whatever. They're both on opposite sides of the tree, tied. Their waists are tied around it. Well, I think they used it to control them around the tree, and then they just tied the rope, whoever it is, tied a rope around their neck and then pulled it tight. Leaves had covered the bodies, which were sitting leaned against the tree. They were back to back with the tree between them. Each one had a rope tied around the neck. The rope didn't appear too tight, but apparently it was tight enough. Ropes also tied to their wrists, and they were bound to the tree with ropes. Their ropes were not tied in elaborate knots, but they had done an effective job. Footprints and tire prints around the area soon were lost in the shuffle and excitement. The bodies were not pretty, as the young woman once had been, or handsome, as let's see, I don't know what that's saying there. The young man once had been. However, they were not in an unrecognizable state. Considering they had been subjected to weather for about 12 days, the bodies were fairly good condition, according to authorities. A little after 6 o'clock, with the sunlight almost gone, the 2 bodies were placed in an ambulance and sent to North Carolina Memorial Hospital in Chapel Hill for the autopsy. Positive identification of the bodies as that of Miss Mann and Miss McBane were made later that night. Dr. Abdullah Fatah, who performed the autopsy, began his task about 10 o'clock that night. he didn't finish until shortly after midnight. What he found was that apparently neither Miss Mann nor Mr. McBane had been subjected to sexual assault. So there was no sexual angle to this. Also, his examination indicated there probably had been no physical violence other than the strangulation. Well, I mean, other than her liver being lacerated, right? He did find that Miss Mann's kidney had been ruptured. So now it's kidney. Had been ruptured, perhaps by a heavy blow from a fist. However, there were no bruises or on her body at all. Dr. Fada said evidence indicated that the couple had died within minutes of each other, apparently strangled by someone pulling on ropes while the victims were strapped to the tree at the waist. So is that pulling away from the tree so that they would be bent over in a, I don't know, or from behind? Or he said they had been dead 12 to 13 days, the same length of time they were missing. After visiting the scene where the bodies were found, Dr. Fada theorized at least 2 persons had been involved. So I don't know why the ME is throwing out theories. It's a little bit weird. In the killing, he based his estimate on the size of Mr. McBane and the fashion in which the 2 victims had been bound. He said they'd been back to back against the tree with hands bound and separate lengths of rope around their necks. So there was like, yeah, it's really weird. It's almost like the tree was used to restrict their movement, but then a rope was around their neck and then the person pulled on it until the person died. So if it was just one person, that means horrifically the other person had to wait 3 or 4 minutes while that person died, and then knowing that their turn was coming up, probably because they had a rope around their own neck. He said the force of the strangulation apparently had pulled them backward toward the ground. See, that's the part I don't really understand right there. Okay, you're tied to the tree where you pulled, and you're back to back. So how would you be pulled backwards to the ground? Because the tree would be right there. Or were you just on the side of the tree when you were found? I don't know. It's confusing. Other facts, small in themselves but important. Let's see. When lumped together also indicated that there had been no struggle. A pack of cigarettes was in Mr. McBane's shirt pocket. His shirt tail was tucked neatly into his trousers, and his hair was not rumpled. He still wore his class ring and monogrammed cufflinks and his watch. His car keys were in his pocket, a fact which later would baffle officers. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it just means that the killer, after... Yeah, that is weird now. Because if the car was back where it was cleaned, that means the guy would have had to walk back to their bodies and put the key into his pocket. Do you see how that is kind of strange? At first I didn't realize that is strange. So here's where the vehicle is, right here in this area. Just somewhere in this area vicinity is the car. Now he easily could have walked. That's not a huge distance right there. But the car is in here. The doors are locked. Their jackets are in the car. The candy that he bought are in the vehicle. And I guess at the time they had those windows that you could kind of push open, those little triangular ones. And that's how one of the friends opened up the door, because the friends are who found the vehicle. They went looking for it. So anyways, the vehicle is here, but all the fingerprints had been wiped clean from the car. That means the killer did that. So if the car's here, that means he must have been present in the car to want to make sure. It feels like he got into the car with them, had them drive to this area. Then he forced them out and did what he's going to do. Then later he must have driven the car back to this area. And then I don't know if he then walked back over here. Hell, maybe he lived in this. Well, that'd be really stupid if he lived in the trailer park there. And then he walked back and put the keys in the guy's pocket. All right, you see what I'm saying? That's the part why it's confusing to them. Although it's not something you can't, that is impossible. So when people go, wow, why did Kanika just walk into the freezer? Well, it just, weird shit happens sometimes. So that's less than 2 miles. Probably a 2-mile walk. So it's not really that far just to be in that area. So the furthest it could be would be 2.5 all the way over to that side over there. So that's not a ridiculously long walk. Maybe he even went back, made sure that they were dead, put the key in his pocket. But it is weird. I will say that. Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking, that maybe it was something to do with somebody that was interested in her and just wasn't able, and his love wasn't accepted, or I don't know what the hell it is. It's pretty bizarre. You gotta admit, regardless of any of that. Miss Mann's dress was only slightly soiled where she had been sitting on the soft dirt. Her medium-length hair was not unduly out of place, but it did contain bits of dirt, possibly from where the leaves had been raked over her. She did not have a purse. And who knows if they were raked. You shouldn't just throw words in like that. Both victims had mud on their shoes. Officers have indicated that they think the mud may have come from the dirt road off Howe Street. Oh, let's see. Now that we have another street name, let me see where that is. Well, this is Howe Street right here. So that is the right one. Boom. That's awesome. Yeah, this is Howe Street right here. That's the dirt road, but they were found off in the wood. So thank you. Why didn't you guys just put the damn name of the road earlier? I hadn't read that part of the article yet. Boom, I'd say. Yeah. Chloe's trying to entice Blue now. Hey, Chloe. Yeah, now she came over to play with me. Because Blue was just looking at her like, you crazy. Okay, both victims had mud on their shoes. Officers have indicated they think the mud may have come from the dirt road off Howe Street where they were found. But how come they didn't just say that earlier, though? Well, I did find it. This is on the last article that I found, way over on the right. But it's cool to have what what you think it is verified now, because that definitely was Howe Street with the cul-de-sac at the end, but none of the articles ever mentioned Howe Street until this one right here. The night they were reported missing, the warm weather had turned to misty rain. Let me see this. Both victims had mud on their shoes. Officers have indicated they think the mud may have come from the dirt road off Howe Street where they were found. The couple was found about 300 yards from the road. Well, where were you then? So where do you think, why was he driving around 300 yards? I don't know, I think that's an error written right there. I think they were found just off the side of the road, and the surveyor, I mean, I guess, unless he was just walking around in the middle of nowhere out there. 300 yards. Let's see what that... And it would definitely be this direction, because there isn't 300 yards on the left, the south side there. Yeah, so that's 300 yards-ish right there. Now I'd like to know why the surveyor was way out in there. I guess because he's surveying. That's what they do, apparently. Facts beyond those first released by officers at the scene or those observed by reporters at the scene and later are hard to come by. Many rumors have complicated. Yep. Oh, I guess there was more on another page. I didn't. Well, actually, I can go there. Let's see. 8C. What are we on now? What happened out there? Oh, I guess I wasn't signed in. Okay, there's that. Didn't have the numbers on the pages. Ah, forget it. Jesus. Ah, there goes, the article just disappeared. Yeah, it doesn't say, up here it says page 24, but usually you can see the numbering up here, but look how crappy that is. I mean, you can't even read this scan right here. Thanks, newspapers.com. But without you, we wouldn't have anything. So thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to the last portion here that I have. So this is an article. I just typed it in Google like I always do, and look at this. Possible break in 47-year-old case. Orange County authorities seek closure of 1971 double murder. So this one has a pretty good breakdown. This one is by the newsoforange.com. So I'm just going to get down to this part. The following Saturday morning, it was quickly determined that Mann didn't return the night before. This was highly out of character for Mann, who was described by all, this is the nursing student, by all as a responsible young woman who wouldn't miss a curfew. The girls knew that this was not Patricia, Detective Horn said. She was a good girl. Jesse was a good guy, but everyone, by everyone's account, they knew something was wrong. They called local hospitals, asking if they had seen had been in a car accident. They made efforts to file an initial report with the Durham County Police Department within hours of Mann and McBane not coming back. Some of Mann's co-workers at Watts Hospital went out looking for her and her boyfriend. They go to Lover's Lane area where they find McBane's car abandoned. The automobile is sitting in one of the empty cul-de-sacs. Their coats are in the back. Everything appears to be normal. Nothing is in disarray. There are no signs of a struggle. Back in those days, cars had triangular vent windows that could be pushed in and out. It was unsecured. So one of the girls was able to reach in and unlock the door to see what was going on. Nothing seems overly out of place outside the fact that Jesse McBane and Patricia Mann are nowhere to be found. At this point, the Durham County Police Department gets involved. The initial thought was that Mann and McBane may have eloped, Detective Horn indicated. The case, originally deemed a missing persons case, begins to evolve into full-blown investigation. No one knew at the time it was a homicide, but it became fairly apparent within a day or two that something was not right. For nearly 2 weeks, a frantic search was undertaken while Durham and Orange County detectives worked numerous leads in an effort to locate the missing pair. But 12 days after McBane and Mann went missing, on February 25th, 1971, a surveyor working in a heavily wooded area, so I guess he was in the heavily wooded area, along a one-lane dirt road, found what he initially thought was a mannequin. There was a leg that could be seen sticking up outside the pile of leaves, but when he, the surveyor, got close to it, he realized that it was actually a human body. McBane and Mann had been tied to a tree with thick knots around their heads and hands. The victims were strangled. McBane was still wearing his class ring and watch. There were no signs of theft or any type of sexual assault. Patricia had an internal injury where she may have been punched hard, kicked, or stomped. The Orange County Sheriff's Office was called. They immediately responded to the crime scene. There was some issue about jurisdiction, Horn said of the initial law enforcement inquiry. Where is the county line? See, that would be a problem, right? Because it's right there, and this all happened right there, and this is the county right over here, and you know, I guess it was 300 yards up into the woods out here. It was really, really close to the border between Durham and Orange County. That area was a lover's lane. It was a road that had been pushed in and had a cul-de-sac at the end. Maybe this is what they're talking about. Yeah, cul-de-sac at the end. It was about a quarter of a mile into the woods. Very, very secluded. There were beer bottles and cigarette butts in the cul-de-sac. People would go down there and drink. So at the time, the cul-de-sac probably didn't have those mobile homes around it. Soon after locating the bodies, it was determined that these were the bodies of the missing couple. A murder investigation. After locating the bodies of McBane and Mann, an extensive investigation began involving the Orange County and Durham County Sheriff's Office, the Durham Police Department, the State Department, so they go through the whole thing. Everybody individually worked on the case, Horn said. It didn't catch a whole lot of traction. There was a lot of work done, but it was individual. So nobody was working together, is what they're saying here. This is a horrible crime. Who lives within 5 miles of the area? Who was mean as a snake or would have done such a thing? Horn continued. The names on the list, there was nothing to substantiate that. It was just a name. So that slows them down a bit, and they have to work through it. Yep, just like in the Delphi case. Hey, have you looked into this guy? Have you looked into this guy? And there's nothing to indicate they have anything to do with anything. But you turned it in. Now they have to look up this random person who you turned in as a suspect merely because he had a goatee. As the dust started to settle, however, a handful of promising suspects emerged. Some of those were later cleared by case officers based on polygraph tests. Some were not cleared. One in particular, so this is kind of an interesting angle, I see why they might think that, was a doctor at Watts Hospital who knew Patricia Mann. He has been a focus in the case, and Detective Horn says he is still a focus, a person of interest. So even in 2018, when this article was written, this doctor is, so you wonder if he was just, I want her, why does he get to have her, type of thing. And then he ended up torturing them. And then look at the doctor had repeatedly refused to cooperate with authorities. Although, you know, sometimes that's smart if you can tell that, wow, it looks like you guys think I did it. I'm not saying a damn thing. I'm going to get an attorney. Although no one has ever been charged with these heinous crimes, there remains a possibility that the Orange County Sheriff's Office could eventually catch a huge break in the case. So this is pretty cool. I've heard of these vacuums, but it says MVAC is a wet vacuum DNA collection system that was originally designed to determine possible pathogens in food samples. Similar to a handheld carpet cleaner, the MVAC system can extract DNA from difficult places, such as inside the knots that were used to tie McBane and Mann up to strangle them. And here's the thing, if the guy wiped down his fingerprints, he wasn't wearing gloves. It's basically an industrial type carpet cleaner. It sprays a solution out, and that fluid is captured and condensed down into a filter. And then all the DNA profiles on that have to be extrapolated. Only 80 MVAC machines exist in the world, with 40 of them in the United States. Fortunately for local investigators, Guilford County recently received a new MVAC system. We have the ropes where the victims were found individually and then lashed around a tree to one another, Horn said. So they have all the ropes. Hey, thanks, Sherlock Hemlock. So what I did like to read on this sentence right here is, we have the ropes where the victims were found individually and then lashed around a tree to one another, Horn said. The rope has been preserved and protected. So since that time, it's been preserved and protected. That's good stuff.
Always a great end of the day when Grey comes on and all the freaks get together. Terrific group. Red Heart.
True dat. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so it's amazing that they stored that and protected it. So after 47 long years of futility, there remains a chance that this case could have closure. That's a potential suspect could be taken into custody and tried for these brutal murders. What a horrible tragedy, especially for those young kids just starting out their life, to be kidnapped and abducted from a lover's lane, transported to a second lover's lane. Yes, isn't that weird? They were both lover's lanes. Okay, so now that makes sense. So God, that's so crazy. Like, he took him to his lover's lane, transported to a second lover's lane, and then marched up a small embankment, bound and tied to a tree and strangled, Horn said. So I hadn't heard that part yet. We believe, and we've had a lot of consultants look at this, everybody is in agreement. Somewhere on that rope, you're going to have a suspect's profile, and this new technique is the best one to obtain the DNA. So we're very hopeful. And this was from April 3rd, 2018. So that's almost 2 years ago. Hope they found something. Hey! Happy anniversary,
Spending some
Dottie-o.
time with Grey and Freak family on my 40th wedding anniversary, clinking glasses.
Well, happy anniversary. Wow, 40 years. Yeah, that's pretty good. You must have got married at 5 years old, though, because you look young. Let's see. Well, it was 18, Gray. Yeah, I'm drinking Gatorade, Shogun. Man, you just observe every little thing, man. Yeah, I like it. I feel like I want to know, did they find any DNA samples at all? Oh, you're 17. There you go. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but sometimes you just don't need to type it in, though, Shogun. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just... Oh, do you hear Gray? Look at he's clicking. Look at that. What has he got in his hands? Are those nail clippers that he's clicking together? Oh my God! Is that a... Well, now I want to go check this out. Up an embankment, huh? Do you think that's maybe right over here? See how there's a little bit of a... Now it's just kind of creepy looking back there, isn't it? Imagining them being forced to walk back there. And it's still just completely wooded. Did they say up an embankment or down an embankment? They were kidnapped and abducted from a lover's lane. Okay, so I guess another way he could have done it was, yeah, he had his own vehicle, kidnapped them, and took them over there. Then took his keys out of his pocket because he needed to go over and make sure there was no fingerprints. But I mean, but why would he wipe it down inside the car? I wonder if that's a red herring thing about that. You know, wipe the inside of the car down. If he didn't get in the car, he just abducted them. He said, "Hey, get out," you know. So I don't know why he'd need to wipe that down. But let's say he did get in the car, and he had them get out of the vehicle. Maybe he drove them to the location where they were found. Then he goes back out there with the key, goes into the car, wipes it down, and then drives back out to the location where he killed them and then put the key in the boyfriend's pocket. How about that? Then march up a small embankment. Bound and tied. Okay, so the small embankment must be deep into the woods. Because if they're 300 yards in there, we don't know where that is. Let me get rid of this, though. This might help. If you get rid of the 3D... Yeah. Now you can see back there. Oh, look at that. That's much easier to see. And look at it, it's still really wooded back there. And look at that, right where I have that, it almost seems like there's an embankment right there. I wonder if it's like right there, and then that's the embankment. See? Yeah, it's easier to see all the terrain on this, yeah. Well, that's it, everybody. I might come back on later. This was just going to be really about that, and then I give you that quick update on the Mennonite woman, Sasha, that was found. Sasha Kraus, she was found. Not alive, but looked like around 200 miles away from the house. Okay, well, I hope you guys thought that was interesting. It took quite a while to go find all those articles and put them all together, and I thought it was, and it was weird because I was actually looking up cases in North Dakota, and then somehow there was an AP article of this case in there, and then I went, okay, and then I shifted over to this one. And I thought it was interesting. So now you guys know of a cold case that very few people. There was a 1 minute long YouTube video about it. I did see that somebody, I wanted to check, and that's all I could find. There was a podcast or something that talked about it. But yeah, that's it. All right, so I'll try to come back on a little bit later. And let's see what the dogs are doing right now. Yep. Chloe tried to get Blue to play, but Blue just didn't feel like it. And I don't know, that camera doesn't appear to be working at the moment. I can tell it's not even on, so I'll have to figure that out. Lots of stuff going on with the new YouTube stream deal. I don't know, I don't like it as much because you have to remember to do a hell of a lot more than you want to. Oh God, look at that. Somebody just put on That sound good? Like a Cylon? 21,000. That's right. Thank you very much. I think I agree with that one. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Oh, there it. I'm back to myself. I was looking at the chat and I was still doing the voice, but my regular face came back. Oh man. Yeah, okay, Debbie. All right. Yeah. I thought aliens could have done it too, though. Yeah, I guess in that theory, he doesn't have to go back out and put the key back in his pocket, right? I get what you're saying. Hey, thanks, Lori Staggs. Yeah, maybe he, you know. It seems like that's a lot of thinking, though. Now, the mask is in the description of the video. There's a face mask. It doesn't, I don't have the Streamlabs isn't, the chat bot isn't working, so it doesn't pop up, but there's a link in the description. Oh, wow. Hey, look at that, huh? Hey, ooh. Oh boy, yeah. That didn't last on there too long.
Hey everybody, hi! I'm Mr. I don't know, Nightbot or something.
I think that one, that voice worked with that one. Yeah, you could be right there. Debbie, who knows? It's just interesting that his keys were in his pocket, and then... Well, if he had his own car, why did he need to get into their car? Why didn't he just have a gun or something and say, hey, get out, get into mine? And then why would he need to wipe it down? See, that's the part that...
Yes. I'm in outer space right now. I hope I make it back home safely. Oh my god, what is that? What is that?
Oh no!
Hey, how come the reflection doesn't change? Well, it does actually. God, that's crazy. Look at the reflection changes when I turn my head. Wow, they actually programmed that shit in there. That's crazy. If I turn, okay. Yeah, who knows, Debbie? I mean, see, that's just so many what ifs in that one. Yeah, sure, okay. Could be. Yeah. It's just weird, you know, we can just think it's weird that he has his keys in his pocket. We don't even know if it's true that the inside of the car was wiped out either. So, you know, that's just in that one article. So we don't even know if that's true. Right. Well, that's just luck then. Why wouldn't he just bring the key if he knew he was going to go back there? If he had his own car, it'd be a really quick drive to get right back out to there. But I don't know if he'd want to be, to support your theory, I don't think he'd want to go walking back out in the middle of the night, 300 yards in the woods to some bodies. I think that's sort of a one-time shot deal that you'd want to do, right? It's not like you're going to go, yeah, I can't wait to go back out and, you know, put those keys in his pockets again. Although sick people like that aren't really freaked out about that. I don't know. I don't know what I don't even really know how the face mask works. I know you can buy like access to different ones. If the car was unlocked. Right. Yeah, that was easy too, but you know, I don't want to just start overthinking it though, you know, because what you got to do is just go with the information that you have, and if you start adding things like, oh yeah, right, so he brought a coat hanger, and then he was able to jimmy the car, you know, I don't know. Maybe he got in the back seat of where the couple was. He just got in and said, but why would he need to do that? And nobody really knows if he had his own vehicle either. They're just saying that. They have no clue if he had his own vehicle or not. I think he may have used their vehicle, driven him over there, and then he drove back and put it back where it originally was just to throw people off. And he could have done that easily, right? Because nobody in law enforcement, nobody has proof that there was another vehicle used. Oh, he had a horse. Maybe he had a snowmobile too. Jetpacks. Didn't they invent those a little bit just around that same time? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's probably true, right? Like you go up to the car and you say, hey, get out of the car. And the door isn't going to be locked. But, again, if that's how it worked, Debbie, you just took away the part about, you know, he didn't touch anything. So why would he have to have him clean? And then you have to say, well, maybe he reached in and, you know. See, then it's a lot of, that's just such wild speculation at that point. So, yeah, it could be a lot of different things. Does that stuff still work? The, okay. There you go. Yeah, none of the chat bots are working. Uh-oh. Quiet. Oh, boy. Okay, everybody. That is it. I will try to come back on later. You know, I don't know, 8, 9 o'clock. 8:30 maybe. This is the weekend, so. But, yeah. All right. That's it. Let me. I gotta figure out. It's not as smooth anymore how to end these streams, but I'll give it a whirl. All right. So, listen. Let me get back to this again. Shit. See, before I used to have different screens up, but anyways, it says anonymous for face mask. Then Lori Staggs with the super chat. Thank you very much. Another $2 anonymous face mask. And then Dadio Cast Beating Horses Rock. Sherlock Hemlock. Yow Mama. Miss Skis. and then Nona 617 and Stacy Galloway with the cat eye donation, and Kyron on Streamlabs, and then Shogun Love as well. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. So I will see you guys a little bit later, and I'm going to go tend to Chloe and Blue and see what's up. All right. And my wife's not really feeling that good. She ate something, doesn't making her stomach feel bad, so I'm gonna go check on that. So that's it. We will see you guys later, and until next time, everybody, be safe out there. Oh man.